Hi everybody and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy your stay. If this is your repeat visitor, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you coming back. Tonight we're going to do a little walkthrough a really beautiful, lovely oracle deck. Before we get into the business at hand, let's deal with the foolishness at hand. You guys, I got my nails done and I am in love. Oh my God, I am in love. Look at this color. Is this just not the business, the ridiculous business? Look at this screaming neon, gorgeous fuchsia. I'm so in love with this color. If I'm gonna do a pink, every once in a while I get weird and do a ballet pink with black, but I am definitely a fuchsia girl, although I don't really wear it very often. Excuse me, aggressive feline. Even though I don't wear it really often. I'm more the blues, teals, turquoises. But I'm in love. Oh my God, look at this, I'm in love. Okay, now that we've gotten important business out of the way, tonight we are going to talk about and do a little walkthrough of the gorgeous Roses, Dust, and Ashes oracle deck. Look at this box. Y'all, look at this box. Oh my God, isn't this amazing? So this oracle deck, on the front it says Roses, Dust, and Ashes, an oracle featuring cemetery symbols, and by the creatrix Stacey Williams-Ung, who is a very dear personal friend as well as sister in tarot. And it is produced through, I'm not trying to say produced, you guys know the word I'm trying to use. You guys know when I do these videos, it's usually at the end of my day, so you get what you get over here. Published by Stacey Williams-Ung and her company, La Panthère Studios. She is a one-woman operation, and as well as being tarot reader, oracle reader, professional artist, she also has a publishing company for independent deck creators, including her own decks. So the Roses, Dust, and Ashes oracle, and this is the back. This coffin-shaped box is just everything, isn't it? So an oracle featuring cemetery symbols, and I love how she did this. It's almost like it's on her own tombstone. Written by Stacey Williams-Ung, beloved wife and mother. Illustrated by authoress at La Panthère Studios. This was put out last year in 2023, and this is the first edition of it. And yeah, it's so great how it looks like a gravestone and the old-fashioned coffins. So when you open the box, I love it because it's not too snug, but definitely snug enough to keep everything safely inside. So when you, I know, I'm so ridiculous. Raise the coffin, look at the interior. I love Stacey because not only is she, well, for many reasons, but as far as a deck creator, she's so wonderful with attention to detail and everything being very purposefully done. So the beautiful hands holding as it would be on, and that's an actual part of her artwork and one of the cards in the deck. Why am I pretending like I don't need these? Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. From an old astronomer to his pupil, by Sarah Williams. So that's the quote on the inside. And then inside the box. So the booklet, and look at the beautiful velveteen, like a coffin or casket. Coffin just means it's shaped like this, so like this coffin. Oh, I always cards book, which first? Let's do book first. So the booklet with her beautiful artwork and the weeping angel underneath the willow tree, but with the sun still just there and the gorgeous roses. And on the back it says, have you ever walked through an historic cemetery and wondered about the art of the monuments and markers? The weeping angels, the anchors, the scrolls, and the doves. What do they all mean? If you're willing to learn the meaning of a few symbols, you will find layers of cultural history in those shapes and figures. Being receptive to them is like hearing the dead speak. And then when we open our booklet, the intro page and the credits and the whatnot, and then her table of contents. And she definitely has actual photographs from different cemeteries. Look at that gorgeous Celtic cross. Look at all the attention. My God, the stonemasonry, the detail. So beautiful. So I am going to read the introduction, which is the first sentence is what we just read. What do they all mean aside from being beautiful ways to wish a loved one farewell? The markers in Victorian era cemeteries were often carried powerful stories about the deceased and were never meant to be mysterious. In their time, they were a common language of expression, but trends have changed and modernity has set in. We no longer find them common and clear. Like the loopy cursive handwriting of past times, these symbols seem pretty hard to read. If you're willing to learn the meanings of a few handful of symbols, you'll find layers of cultural history in those shapes and figures. Being receptive to them is like hearing the dead speak. The cemeteries that inspired me are predominantly from the late 19th century America in the southern states, although there are examples of symbols that were popular in other American regions as well as in Great Britain. In the American South during that time period, there were overlapping spheres of culture, all of which influenced the symbols of our ancestors' grave markers. The time period that the English called Victorian, in other words, the time of the reign of Queen Victoria, which was from 1837 until 1901, encompassed three major tumultuous upheavals here in America: the Civil War, Emancipation, and the Reconstruction. As any period of great violence, cultural change, and renewal, the people from this place in time left a notable impact on our nation's identity in ways that we are still grappling with. So then she goes on to explain about this booklet and how it's broken down and how to get the most out of easily accessing the information and what it means. Let's see. She does go on to explain postbellum as opposed to antebellum. Postbellum is, I refer to a symbol or motif as postbellum or Reconstruction. It is a more narrow and specific reference. This is a Latin term meaning after the war, and is common shorthand for the years immediately following America's Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865. The 2 decades following 1865 are called the postbellum years, or alternatively, the Reconstruction. Then she goes on to explain storytelling with pictures as its own subheading, and then how graveyards became cemeteries. and she explains how the Victorians viewed death and grieving. This cat, I tell you what. Then why she chose this to be an oracle, and the beautiful photography. Then a guide to the cards, explaining a little bit more about oracle, and then we get into the cards themselves. So she has an actual picture of the cards, and because the deck is done in gray tone, that's how it's represented here. And then a blurb about what you're seeing in each card, what it means, and goes into detail about what that symbolism means, and perhaps some messages that maybe that card is trying to convey for you. So let's look here and get into the deck now. Oh, also at the back, there's a glossary. She does have She does have a few suggested spreads. And then she has the glossary. So it is wonderful that it's in alphabetical order, so it makes it a little easier, or have some kind of structure to know what you're looking up. And then at the back, she has more actual photography from various cemeteries. Some include Highgate Cemetery in London. There are cemeteries in Jackson, Mississippi, some in Leeds, England, and definitely some here in New Orleans cemeteries. Okay, so look at the back, and I love how she has the two little holes so you can easily pull the cards out with the well in there. But you guys, look at the back of these gorgeous cards. As you can tell, they are high gloss and shiny, and I know that that is a different camps feel very, very strongly. I am definitely one who loves high gloss, shiny cards. Some people don't. Beautiful gold gilding, which has definitely stood quite well. I mean, gilding is going to have its nicks and dings. That's just kind of the nature of the beast, I find. But what I'm looking for is it going to come off in my hand, on my hands? And no, this deck definitely does not. So I have used it, so, oops, there's one still in the box. I have used the deck, so the cards are not in order, but let's go through. So, wow, interestingly enough, the deck card that happens to be on top is the same card that is on the front of the booklet. Sorrow. And we have the Weeping Angel. But she also made sure to have the sunlight. So again, with Stacy, nothing is done haphazardly or without really thinking it through. So joy cometh in the morning kind of a vibe. The resurrection of, you know, the deceased, or going into the light, into their new life. While we're grieving, they've gone into the light. Eternity, one of the Celtic knots. Victory with the palm fronds. Hope. The virtues and the anchor that was mentioned. And the beautiful moonlight in the back. At least it looks like moonlight to me. Perhaps it's the sun, but looks like moonlight to me. Actually, I think I'm gonna pop that one to the side because I will go through a few, at least one, and read from the guidebook. Humility, which is kind of funny. So I'm also a ghost tour guide here in New Orleans, and politics, things happened. We can't really get into, I'm sorry you guys, I keep hearing a weird sound. We can't really get into one of the most famous cemeteries here in the city anymore, and that's St. Louis #1, where a lot of very famous New Orleanians are buried. Everyone from Homer Plessy to, it is said, the great Marie Laveau. Yeah. And some people who have not yet passed on, but who have also gone ahead and made accommodation for, taken care of accommodation for their final resting place, including Nicolas Cage. So he has a giant pyramid, which, you know, a lot of tour guides give Nick Cage a lot of guff about that. He's Nick Cage. And to be fair, he's not the first person. There are other cemeteries that have pyramids, a nod to Egyptian symbolism, a nod to Masons. Nick Cage is being Nick Cage, doing the most. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. But he's not the first one, but it is, I love humility. As I think of Nick Cage having a giant pyramid next to all traditional tombs. I can't even say traditional. There's so much unique stonemasonry and artistry in there. Happiness, look at the beautiful lilies of the valley. Readiness with the urn and the cloth draped over it and the flowers. Time flies. Passion. Safe journey with the seashell for protection. Sister. Stillness, the anchor. Speaking of Masonic symbols, under purpose, influence, the obelisk, and the ankh. Achievement, the oak leaves growing up. That may be one that is for Woodworkers Union. Freedom, of course, the butterfly and the lilies. Curiosity. And isn't it fascinating? Like, that is actually someone's tomb somewhere, someone's grave marker. More Celtic symbolism, rebirth, the beautiful tulips, eternal love. Oh, I love that one. The skulls and bones underneath, and then whoops, portal. Innocence with the precious little cherub. Insight, back to Masonic symbols. There are several Masonic cemeteries here in the city. What's that one? Connection. Until we meet again. Grace. And I know Stacy goes into forget-me-nots with not to be forgotten. The difference of how women's imagery on their graves as opposed to men's, the words, the symbolism was different at that time. Wisdom with the lamp. into darkness with the torch. Interesting how we have the torch upside down. Strength. And very Leo vibes. Okay, this is definitely a carpenter's or woodworker's. Resilience. The untold story. Peace. Vanity. Is that a daffodil or a narcissus flower? Guardian with the Sphinx. We definitely have that in New Orleans. Breakthrough, pointing upward. Family. Again, the weeping family underneath the weeping willow. And purity of a calla lily. So the deck shuffles very, very smooth. I mean, it's glossy cards. But yeah, as you can see, the deck shuffles super smoothly. If you are a person who ripple shuffles, yes. Kind of hard to do it in air, but yes. The cardstock is excellent. Look at that. Bam. Excellent cardstock. Definitely something I love. And the beautiful borders on the back with the gold and the skull and crossbones. So let's look back at card number 34, which is hope. And let's look up hope in the booklet. Ah, no, it's not done that way, hence the pause. It's looking at the symbols, not the cards. Okay, wait. My apologies, you guys. I'm in the glossary, so we can go back to the glossary to look at some of the symbols. But number 34, there we are, hope. Women have been used as symbols, as human symbols of spiritual concepts for as long as we've had Western art. The 4 cardinal virtues of temperance, prudence, fortitude, and justice originated from Plato in the 400s AD. If you've ever passed by or into a courthouse, you've probably seen Lady Justice sculpture. Similarly, the Christian virtues of faith, hope, and charity also made their way into female figures. The 3 virtues are named in the Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 13:13. The women are represented with a cross, an anchor, and a heart, respectively. Oh, faith, hope, and charity. The one with the anchor is hope, although these statues are often mistaken as angels. The symbol of hope with the anchor continues to resonate for people today, serving as a reminder that even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty, there's always a source of strength and security to be found. As we navigate the challenges of life, may we hold on to the anchor of hope and find comfort in knowing that it will guide us safely through the storms. And today is July 3rd of 2023. And I would say that Spirit definitely led us to have that message, as it's been an interesting time, shall we say, the past week or two. And I think that message is extremely timely. So then if we wanted to look up the symbol of anchor, we can go to the glossary. Anchor is often used as a symbol for hope, steadfastness, and stability. On a grave, it can represent the idea that the deceased has found safe harbor in the afterlife, and that their soul is at rest. If a grave is more modern, it is probably less esoteric. It probably simply means the deceased was a fisherman. If shown with an angelic looking woman, she's not an angel. She is the symbol of hope, the virtue. So I think that this deck could be used in so many different ways as clarifiers with in a tarot reading, in conjunction with other oracle cards, journaling. I think this would be a great deck for journaling on the keywords and working with the symbolism, and could pair really well with, even though I think it would be a great deck for people who are doing shadow work but need maybe a lighter vibe to it. You know, like certain other decks, like Haunted Manor Oracle, for example. Buckle up, because if you are not ready, that is definitely not the deck for you. Whereas this deck can approach some of the same types of subject matter: sorrow, sadness, grief, loss, be that of an actual person or situation or thing in our lives, or a concept of something where there is loss, or again, working through our own shadow aspects. I think this would be a really wonderful deck for this, but it has a really gentle energy to it that's not jarring or abrupt or abrasive. And because so many of the symbols do lend themselves to, well, I guess the card we just read, looking for hope, for some kind of meaning while processing and dealing with things that are so perplexing and confounding and maybe to an extent inexplicable, but looking at some very real experiences or real situations that are intrinsic to the human experience that can be done with more of a gentle approach. You know, some people say that cemeteries and death is macabre, and I guess you're not wrong. I guess you're not wrong. It's to each his own, because I have often been crawling around in graveyards at midnight, quite literally, and because these things always have fascinated me. And as a person who grew up in a house that was, I should say a house that was haunted, those things are not very, I don't look at them as the macabre. But I think we could agree that it is a macabre subject. But this, I feel like, is a beautiful deck to lend itself to being able to look at either those literal situations or the emotions that are associated with those kinds of situations, and to have a deeper understanding of what's going on inside, and some tools to help us to get through perhaps some darker times with a gentle touch, which, knowing Stacey, is probably why she chose the black and pink and even the gold as an option. So while we are in, like our beautiful young lady on the front, our mourning dress and our veil, the time period of mourning, something to help us to get through. So this has been a walkthrough of the Roses, Dust, and Ashes Oracle. If you are interested in purchasing this deck, you can go through La Panthère Studios, and that is how you spell it. And you can find Stacey's LePanther on Instagram. You can at LePanther Studios on Instagram and order through there, or go directly to the website if you are interested in purchasing a copy for yourself. So until we meet again, dear tarot peeps, stay safe and blessings to you all. See you in the next video.